Hi, I'm Bhavesh, and in this video, we're going to quickly go through the Python tutorial or the introduction to Python, the documentation. That is the Python tutorial and the official documentation of Python. So let's begin. So the Python tutorial documentation starts with an introduction to Python. Python is an easy to learn, powerful programming language. So today we see even through the TOB index that Python is a very popular programming language, and it is quite popular, powerful as well. Powerful in the sense that it allows you to write programs in a very short amount of time. Programs are crisp, the programs are small, but achieve a lot more by writing a very few lines of code compared to some other languages. And then it goes on to say it has efficient high-level data structures and a simple but effective approach to object-oriented. Yeah, so Python is also an object-oriented programming language, but it is not like Java, where object-oriented is forced down upon you. Object-oriented in Python is allowed, but it is an option or it is optional thing to do. You can write procedural language kind of syntax, or you can write your code in a procedural style, functional procedural style you can follow. But if you do want to both go with the object-oriented approach, you can even do that. So Python allows you both functional as well as object-oriented. And yeah, it does offer you high-level data structures like dictionaries, lists, and so on. Python's elegant syntax and dynamic typing together with its interpreted nature make it an ideal language for scripting and rapid application development in many areas of the platform. So the Python syntax is my favorite. I have to write curly brackets, although that might be a problem for some. But for me, not writing brackets and having indentation compulsory is going to solve a lot of problems. It feels that you're writing something quite, you're, you are able to achieve what you want to achieve quite fast. It is ideal for scripting. It is Python is also considered a scripting language, and rapid application development is also possible. Not only scripting, it can also be used for creating backend for websites. It is used for data analysis, a lot of other, it is used in a lot of other domains. And it is run with an interpreter. It is an interpreted nature language. So we know that there are compiled languages and interpreted languages. Compiled languages are first converted into the machine code and the machine code is executed, whereas the interpreted languages execute or convert single line at a time of your code one by one, and then it runs on them. Interpreted languages are generally slower than compiled languages, as is the case with Python. If you compare Python with Java, Java will compile your Java code to a bytecode and it will execute much faster than Python. But that is, even though that is one con, I think you can compile Python also with PyC. You can have a compiled version Python also. I'm not sure how fast that is, but development is quite fast for sure. Python. Let's go ahead. The Python interpreter and the extensive standard library are freely available in source or binary form, all major platforms of the Python site. So Python is an open source language. All the libraries of Python are freely available on the internet. They are compiled in compiled form as well as open source, maybe freely distributed. Same site also contains distribution of and pointers to many free third-party Python modules, programs, and additional documentation. So we have python.org where we'll be able to find the Python libraries, and we have access to PyPy, which allows you to explore and download some other third-party modules you can add into your Python program and do a lot more things that you would want. Much easier, much easier. That being done, Python interpreter is easily extended with few functions, data types implemented in or C++ or other languages callable from C. So the interpreter is also extendable, and you can add new functionalities and other data types that are implemented in your C++. You can add those as an extension to your Python program. Python is also suitable as an extension language for customizable applications. Yeah. So this tutorial introduces the reader informally on the basic concepts and features of Python language and helps to have Python interpreter handy or hands-on experience, but all examples are self-contained, so the tutorial can be read offline as well. So it is recommended that we have an interpreter. I have uh, a Python installed on my machine. I've already done print hello world. I've executed Python. The Python interpreter or the interactive session is also available with us in the terminal. You can directly execute some statements. Uh, Perform operations. The interactive Python session. So let's move ahead for a description of standard objects and modules. Python standard library. Python standard library is going to give you details of the inbuilt Python library with uh, uh, all the functionalities of Python, all the inbuilt functions that are available and inbuilt modules which are available in Python. It's going to be a documentation of the Python standard library. There is a language reference is separate from this tutorial. Python language reference is going to be an even more detailed definition of the language. Then, yeah, it is a formal definition of the language. If you want to write C and C++ extensions for the language, there is a tutorial on how to send the Python interpreter and another reference manual for Python/C. So since Python allows extending itself, so since you can extend your Python programs in C++, you can achieve speed. Like C and C++ run very fast. You can have an extension built into C++ and add it into a Python program. So things that you need to optimize in your, you can probably convert that part of the code into C or C++ and then port it and run in your Python program. Then it goes on to say that this tutorial does not attempt to be a comprehensive one. It does not cover every single feature, or it does not even cover commonly used features, but it introduces most of the Python's most noteworthy features. It gives us an idea of the language flavor and style. It is an introductory tutorial. As they say, it does not cover everything, and it is just to give you an idea of what the programming language is. After reading it, you'll be able to read and write Python modules and programs. You're ready to learn more about the various Python library modules described in the Python standard library. So we will be able to use all these things. Function after we go through this. This tutorial is the starting point. So this is an index of the tutorial. Let us just look at what all we are going to cover in the tutorial. Setting your appetite. This is again an introductory article using the Python interpreter. So second chapter covers how can we use the Python interpreter. Third chapter is an informal introduction to Python. How can we use Python for numbers, texts, lists, and how can we start our Python programming journey. The fourth chapter is talking about the control flow statement, if condition, the loops, else and loops, or for loop, and the range function that is inbuilt into Python also allows you to iterate over and break continue statements that allow you to come out of the loop or to continue execution the same loop, and else clause on loop. So else is also possible. Past statements, I've never used this. Match statement, never used it. Well, defining functions, talk about how we can create functions in Python to have all your modular code together, all your code which repeats again and again. You can create functions in Python. More on defining function, default argument values, keyword arguments, special parameters, positional or keyword arguments, positional keyword only, So it goes into the depth of defining a function, pass values to the argument list, arbitrary argument list, unpacking argument list, lambda expressions. So explore all these things when we go through the detailed chapters. Then it comes to data structures. So it talks about lists, how data is stored in lists, how a list is different compared to stack, how are the different as compared to queues, list comprehensions, nested list comprehension, del statement. I've never used this. Tuples and sequences, how tuples and sequences are different from the list. Sets, dictionaries, looping techniques, conditions. Then there is a chapter, sixth chapter about modules. We saw that there are inbuilt modules and inbuilt functions in Python. The modules chapter is going to explain us on the modules concept, Python, how to create a module and how to import a module, how to import an existing module, to use a module, how to package your own modules, and so on. Seventh chapter talks about input and output. So we have a chapter dedicated to reading and writing a file, format the string, create a fancy output. Input and output is going to cover both the input and output for your console, your input to the program, and the output that the program gives on the screen when it prints something. That is where this formatting comes. Reading and writing files, saving your data and reading the data from the operating system file or your file which you have stored on your computer. Then the eighth chapter talks about errors and exceptions. Talk about syntax errors, exception handling, how to raise your own exception, chain exception, create your own exception. Then we dive into object-oriented programming, where it explains classes, objects, create your own class, methods in the class, inheritance, multiple inheritance, private variables. Then it goes into the standard library, that is library, but this is I think only an overview of the standard library, the basic things which are common to use in the standard library. And then we do a brief tour of the standard library, output formatting, divided into two parts, standard library, the most commonly used standard library modules and functions like multi-threading, logging. Then we have some advanced topics, I think virtual environment, packaging, creating a virtual environment. Yeah, virtual environment allows you to create your own space computer such that when you install a pip module, so when you download a third-party module and have many such modules downloaded, it allows you to either save those modules for your entire Python installation for the entire computer, or you can install those pip modules for your virtual environment. So if you want to create a virtual environment, it is easier to have your entire application and the requirements for your application in a box. So that same can be done on a server, deploy it on the server. So yeah, that is all. This is the basic introduction Python tutorial. The next video we will start with the first chapter, the Python tutorial. That is it for today. Thank you for watching. Bye.